everyone. Here we are again. I hope everyone had a lovely 4th of July weekend. I hope you all saw lots of fireworks, ate lots of food, and did not get drunk. That's a key right there. So here we are again. Now I have had a number of people ask me questions about Greg, which is just lovely. I love that. Some of them I can't answer on video because they're too long, too convoluted, and would take, an hour for a video. So those I'm going to answer myself by email. But someone asked me, what was Greg's day like? It's kind of interesting. Like when did he get up and what did he do all day and what kind of schedule did he have? And so I thought, let me just kind of show you a little bit of Greg's brain on a daily basis. This is Greg's brain on a daily basis. We call this the brain dump part of the day, which is actually 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Greg would get up every morning at approximately 5:30, sometimes 6 o'clock. Depends on the time of year. Depends on the time of year. Because he liked to jump out of bed, grab his camera, run out on the balcony, and take the sunrise. And he used to take the sunrise, whenever it was spectacular, right off of our top deck by our bedroom, because he'd say, I got to get the shot. Honey, I just got to get the shot. In case I want to paint that, I got to get that shot. I have, probably 20,000 sunrises at this point in a folder on my computer, which is fabulous because that reminds me of Greg all the time. But he would then start a day like everybody else does. He'd have his coffee, he'd have his breakfast, which was usually Cheerios, almond milk, a sliced banana, and honey. And then he would do 10 chin-ups, which I cannot even do one, and 50 push-ups. And then he would take a shower, he would get dressed, and he would go downstairs and either start to paint or start to draw. Now, every day of his life, his brain never stopped working. So if he was in the middle of something or not starting something yet, he might have a thought, an idea. This little thing would go boing, and then he would sketch it because that's what he had to do. He had to get every idea he had onto a piece of paper. So we started to call them brain dumps because he would just sketch it. Maybe he'd go back and put some color on it. Maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he would decide to just ink it. This one on the bottom here is a very, very long brain dump. He wanted to paint this 20 feet wide, but he never got around to it. He loved his characters. He loved sketching these crazy people. I'm Johnny Gremlin, and I'm here to tighten your nuts. That was my husband first thing in the morning. Adorable, absolutely adorable. Jeremiah Butt Plug. He's a guy. He's a guy. He's just a guy with a pencil. And all of these things work together. They all work together for him. They were all part of who he was, what he saw, what he loved. And he did these whenever something popped in his head, unless he was sleeping. If he was sleeping, then they were just popping. He wasn't drawing. But he could be in the middle of a painting, and a thought would come to him, and he'd get up from his easel, he'd go to his drawing board, and he'd draw this. God knows who he's supposed to be. I have no idea. Greg knew. Unfortunately, he passed away before he told me. When he passed away, and I started going through his studio and organizing it, I said to Kim, one of the young ladies that works for me, we're going to start scanning his brain dumps. And I thought, well, I probably have about 300 of those, so we'll do that quickly. That'll be great. That'll be the beginning of the scanning process. Kim scanned for weeks. We have 2,300 brain dumps like this, 2,300. a zillion characters. Some have environments. Most do not. They're pretty character driven. And this was a really important part of his life and a really important part of his day, because whenever he came up with a new character, somewhere in the future, this little guy's going to show up in something. It's going to show up, I don't know, in the background of some scene that he's creating for something of himself. I don't know. But they always do. Not all of them, because there's too many of them, but they always do. Now, the rest of his day, I guess you could say, was pretty much exactly the same. He was so focused on what he did. His brain only thought about art. And so he would sit at his drawing board if he was in the process of laying out something, laying out a book, or laying out a single piece of art. He would sit there until he gets it. There would be so many pieces of paper scattered around the floor. It isn't funny, because Greg probably had, 20 forests cut down just for the amount of paper he used in his lifetime. And he would do a sketch. If he didn't like it, he'd crumple it up, he'd throw it on the floor. Next, 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 until he got what he wanted. And then when he got what he wanted, he would know the lighting, he would know the direction of the lighting, he would know the color of the lighting, he would know the time of day that that piece of art was going to be. Then what he needed to do was find the person that he's going to pose. Okay, if it was something that was really pretty easy, it was going to be one of us here. It was going to be someone who worked for me. He was going to grab him, throw him in a costume, put some lights on, and get what he needed, because they were coming out of his head. Okay, if it was someone that he needed specific, that looked like a particular character, that was completely different. Then we had to actually go hunt for the right person. But once he finished his sketch, he was good to go. He'd transfer it. He'd transfer it onto the canvas right here on this board. And then methodically, every single day, he would come downstairs after his breakfast. He would sit here in front of this easel and he would paint from 7:30 in the morning till noon. He would stop, he would eat his lunch, go upstairs, he'd eat his lunch, and then he would stop and he'd come back down here until 5:30 or 6 o'clock, at which point he was done for the day. Unless he was in a real rush on the job, and maybe he would work 14 hours. 12 to 14 hours if he needed to. That was about his limit. He couldn't paint after 14 hours. But he would then quit 6 o'clock, go upstairs, eat dinner, sit down in front of the television set and watch an old movie, because that's what he loved. He loved art, he loved old movies, and he loved me. So together we ate, we drew, we painted, and we watched old movies. Kim is going to zoom in on some of these crazy creatures for you so you get to see them. Please take a look at our 365 Days of Gratitude sale we have going on in our Square store. The link will be at the end of the video. We have some amazing prices on some beautiful art. Every single day it changes. 4 more pieces every day on sale for 24 hours. And thank you so much for watching. I love you all.